Hello everyone and welcome to my first YouTube video. Today we'll be looking over my PSGL highlights from the last race at Silverstone. So yeah, qualifying was wet, which was to be fair, it's fairly expected at Silverstone, but I hadn't done a lot of wet practice, so yeah, maybe not ideal, but we just have to make the best of it. So yeah, first flying lap, just trying to get a feel for the conditions, see how the grip is, where the braking points are, etc. My tier does allow racing line, so it might be a bit of an advantage for the drivers that do use it. Yeah, so first lap, yeah, like I said, just trying to figure out how the grip is, braking points, etc. See how the pace is in the wet. So yeah, as you can see, no major mistakes so far, just perhaps a bit cautious, but that's to be expected. Yeah, small mistake just running wide through the right-hander. So yeah, feels quite different doing a commentary rather than just a normal stream, just because, you know, obviously there's people in the chat and etc, so you can chat to. Yeah, something new, I guess, something hopefully that maybe people are a bit more interested in on YouTube, just so it's a smaller video, you know, rather than having to watch the whole race and the whole qualifying. Just more of a summary. So yeah, just coming towards the end of our first flying lap. It hasn't been too bad a lap. There's been a couple small mistakes which were kind of expected, but thankfully we haven't invalidated, so we should have a delta to base off of. At the start of the session, I did see in the pit lane that there was a chance that it could dry up towards the end of the session, but I don't think it was the highest chance, so I thought it was best to just go in inters and try and set at least a couple laps, just so we are safe if the session does remain wet. But as you can see, it didn't. It did dry up towards the end, and it was dry enough for slick tyres, so we came round, and it was quite tight on the time, to be honest. I did think we had enough time for 2 runs, so as you can see I got a big snap through turn 1, just not knowing how much grip there was, but I was obviously wanting to push, because whoever does set a dry lap, they've got a very good chance of qualifying at the front, as some people still only have interlaps on the board. So yeah, coming through the first sector, there was a snap of oversteer, but overall it wasn't too bad. Over 2 seconds up on the inters lap, but as you can see, running wide here, and I invalidated the lap, which was far from ideal, which was a big shame. So yeah, it was just about coming around, and I was hoping to be able to have enough time for the second run, but it was going to be quite tight with the time. I didn't think it'd be as tight as it was, but yeah, as you can see, only 30 seconds left on the clock, and we're still in the second sector. So yeah, not great on my part, but it was quite a difficult decision, because we were sitting in the pit lane for a while just deciding whether or not it was dry enough, but yeah, in hindsight probably would have been a better idea to come out a little bit earlier, just get ready. So the tyres were already really warm at this point, but I kind of had no choice but to try and push just to be able to get the second run on, because right now we don't have a dry lap, and as you can see, everyone's improving. We're down in 12th place, and we just missed the line by 1 second, which was quite annoying, quite frustrating, because I felt like we could have definitely qualified in like the top 5, just if we just set a lap, to be honest. But yeah, due to that mistake with the timing, we are going to start, I believe, 14th on the alternate strategy, so doing medium to soft rather than soft to medium, which, you know, at most tracks it's quite beneficial starting the alternate strategy, but Silverstone's one of those tracks where it's not so beneficial, as the you know, it's a DRS train. So yeah, as you can see, turn 1 was quite close with Alex Lamote. He just kind of turned across my front wing, so we were lucky to avoid that. We had the Alpine of Paco Suarez coming up the inside. So the first lap was just trying to take it easy, just try to keep our front wing intact, and maybe pick up a couple places. But yeah, so far we actually dropped a place, but we've got it back now, so we're still in 14th, which not ideal, but it could be a lot worse. So yeah, side by side with the Williams, we have the inside, and I think we are going to get the position. He does hold it around the outside, and Alfa Romeo of Mats is round, which was unfortunate. But yeah, lap 1 was just kind of a bit surviving, as our teammate Ice D, I think, picked up damage. I think he's lost his front wing. He was starting in the top 5, I believe, so yeah, that was a bit unfortunate for him. Just coming through Maggots and Beckett's, struggling, I think, with a bit of understeer, heavy fuel, medium tyres. But yeah, using ERS just to try and remain in front of Alex Amorte. I kind of wanted track position because I knew as soon as DRS is going to get enabled, it was going to be very tough to overtake. So as you can see, a couple of cars coming into the pit lane, probably with damage. So overall in the first lap it was probably a success. Oh, as you can see, the Alpine and I believe an Alfa Romeo collided. So yeah, lap 1 was just about surviving, and we managed that. And now we're in a good place, I'd say. We're in 9th place on the medium tyres, and we're in the DRS of the cars in front. So I was struggling, I think, a wee bit for pace in the first couple of laps. I was able to stay within a second, but I wasn't close enough to the cars I had to overtake. So yeah, we were under pressure from the other Williams behind. So I was willing to use my ERS just because I knew if we fell behind, it's very hard to get track position back at this track, just because there's not a lot of technical areas in these current cars that are so quick. So it's pretty much just about saving ERS and trying to kind of have to force a move. So we done Maggots and Beckett's quite well. So I was attempting to get away from Alex Amorte. I was hoping to get a move on a Lipilator. I was quite far back, but I did send up the inside, which in hindsight was quite aggressive, and probably I wouldn't have done that looking back now. But into the last couple of corners, we hold it around the outside, get the inside, and yeah, the initial move was quite aggressive, and I did apologise to him after the race. He wasn't too happy about it. I'm not sure if he picked up light wing damage. I hope he didn't, but he may have. So yeah, I did apologise to him after. I'm not normally that aggressive. It was just the track kind of, yeah, it was not the easiest track to overtake, to be honest. We picked up a silly warning there. That was just bad driving, to be honest. And we ran out of ERS pretty much because we lost DRS to the cars ahead on softs. And now Alex Amorte comes up the inside, sorry, and he was fairly aggressive, but like I said, I was as well in Lipilator. It's just, I feel like the nature of the track kind of promotes, like, you kind of have to force a move rather than just, I don't know, maybe a track like Bahrain or something. It's a little bit more easy to overtake. So I did think to myself, I was like, if we can just stick behind him and save ERS, it wasn't too bad. But I believe he might have got caught up in a collision ahead, so he had dropped 13 seconds behind, and we had caught up to the sovereign of Quito. So we'd managed to save some ERS. I think we regained a little bit of pace. I think after the first 5 laps, I think we settled down a little bit and got into a bit of a rhythm. The setup actually felt quite decent around here. So yeah, I'd nabbed a setup off one of the PC players. So yeah, coming through Maggots and Beckett's, just trying to remain close, which is quite hard with the dirty air, obviously. But yeah, we had the DRS. We used a little bit of overtake. And Quito did move across, I thought a little bit late, but yeah, we managed to get the move up the inside. I just stayed on the inside just to prevent any further move from Quito. So yeah, we moved up into 6th, and I think a couple cars came into the pits. So yeah, we moved up into 5th place, and on lap 8, the race had been going fairly well, to be fair. Yeah, moving on to lap 10 now. We were in 2nd place, so 11 seconds behind Cartwright, who'd been having a good race, and coming through turn 1, and the car and we lose it. And yeah, that was unfortunate because the race had been going really well up until that point, but like I said on stream, it was just going too well. Something had to go wrong. So yeah, it was unfortunate, but it does happen. Everyone makes mistakes, you know. So I was just trying to get my head down and recover pretty much. So yeah, we lost around 8 seconds to Kart Racer, which wasn't ideal, but yeah, as you can see on lap 11, we're still a couple laps away from the ideal pit window to go into softs, but the tyre wear is quite low around Silverstone, so if we needed to, we could probably pull an undercut. But it was still obviously a little bit early for the undercut. But as you can see, our virtual safety cars came out, and I was hoping for a full safety car, and as we crossed the finish line, a full safety cars came out, which was I'd say really good for us, because we can put onto fresh softs and we can get them to the end. They will be slightly worn towards the latter stage of the race, but it was a good opportunity for us to pit and then gain some time and hopefully not lose too many positions. So yeah, the safety car did help us out quite a bit.
100%.
Obviously, kart racer being 21 seconds ahead, not ideal, but yeah, that helped us out quite a bit.
This could be really good.
So yeah, we got pretty much a free pit stop by being able to put under the safety car, only losing a few positions rather than a lot more time than we would have without the safety car. So yeah, thankfully that did help us out. So putting onto fresh softs, we should come out I think roughly in 6th or 7th place, maybe slightly behind that. So yeah, we were going to be second on soft. So although there was quite a big tyre advantage, like I said, Silverstone is very much just DRS chains, so it's still going to be a bit of a struggle to overtake, but having a tyre advantage should help us out a little bit. And yeah, so we're in 7th place, and after the spin probably would have maybe dropped a couple more positions behind, but the safety car did help us out. So yeah, that was good. So coming up to the safety car restart now, just behind Nick Kenshin, just trying to get the tyres warmed up and hoping for a clean restart. Obviously looking to make some moves, but at the same point trying to be somewhat reserved, obviously trying to keep our front wing intact.
Yeah, that's true.
So yeah,
okay, let's focus up.
Just try to focus the restart.
Thank you for everyone.
Yeah, as you can see, the guy in 5th place had a 3-second time penalty, so that's another 3 position there. We did sort of miss the restart a little bit. I think we were a bit slow off the mark, but got a decent exit off the last corner, so we're still within half a second of Nick Kenshin. Coming through turn 1, having to take a small lift just because I think the tyres are still a tiny bit cold and just lack of confidence a little bit. Bopping the curb on the inside, which is not the greatest line. Apologies again for the small bits of lag. That's just due to the stream lagging a little bit. But yeah, well into the slipstream. But moving on to lap 20, as you can see, we're in the same position. We haven't gained it much, to be honest. Just kind of hard to. I tried a few attempts using overtake, but nothing came of it. But on lap 20 now, we got a good run on Kenshin. I think he didn't use all his overtake. We used as much as we had left, and we got up the inside. Nice clean move and up into 6th place. A net P5 with a big boy G1's penalty. So yeah, that was a good move to make. It took quite a while, but yeah, it was an important move to make. And as soon as we got past, we dropped like 8 tenths. But yeah, it was just tough with the DRS chains. When the guy ahead of you just has DRS, it's quite hard to make a move, even if you're quick in the corners. When it comes to like the overtaking places, it's just they've always got a slipstream or they've always got a decent run, so it's quite hard to overtake. But yeah, it's a good move to make, and we were trying to catch up to the Haas, I believe. But
kart racers leading, I think.
Yeah. So far, it'd been quite a decent race, a decent recovery race from P14. We were up to P6. Yeah, the safety car obviously helping us out a little bit, but I feel like it's been a decent race. The race pace has been a lot better, maybe than the last few rounds. So we were on for a decent result at this point. But yeah, as you can see, the race does get a little bit more lively towards the end. Just skipping through lap 21, we managed to stay within the DRS of the Haas, which was quite important. But I was very low on ERS, so I was a little bit nervous if Kenshin was going to come back at us, but we were able to stay ahead. But less than 10% ERS, which is far from ideal heading into the last few laps, and we were falling out of DRS from Slash and G1, which was yeah, a bit of an issue considering Kenshin's right behind us and he's able to save ERS and have the benefit of DRS. So yeah, a small snap through turn 1 again, and he's less than 3 tenths behind us, and again turning in too early for that right hander. But it was important just to get a good exit, and despite the softs feeling quite bad at this point, they still had decent enough traction to compete with the mediums. So yeah, trying to cover the inside into there, but I think it was more than enough alongside. So we tried to get a switchback, and then into the right. Yeah, another screen freeze, but yeah, we managed to hold it around the outside, and going into the old turn 1, we were side by side, and I was like, there's no point in risking either of our races, so I decided to back out.
You've got no
But
battery
I was slightly
either.
frustrated at the fact that he had overtaken me, but he had no battery, which I thought he had saved up behind me, and hence why he was planning to overtake and then catch up to the guys ahead. But yeah, he hadn't, so that was a bit of an issue. And a lip later behind after the aggressive move at the start of the race, I thought he might have been obviously out for me. But yeah, we'll go back up the inside of Kenshin, as I feel like there's no point in just sitting behind him. Yeah, so we're now 2 seconds behind Slash, which is not great. But I think the fight for 5th and 4th was kind of beyond us at this point. I think it was more about trying to remain in 6th and remaining within 3 seconds of G-Man, which is proving a bit tough to be at this point, because obviously constantly battling, going side by side with these guys is causing a lot of time loss, and making a few mistakes in the first sector as well. But trying to get a good exit, but like I said, the softs were wearing quite a bit as we did pit early. I still think it was the right decision, obviously, to pit into the safety car. It's just we do have to suffer a little bit towards the end of the race as Kenshin passes us again, just the end of first sector. So yeah, I think the main thing was just trying to stick in the DRS, but Alipolator did stick his nose up the inside, and we had to leave a little bit of room, which allowed him to get up the inside. So we went from 6th place to 8th, which was not great, and now obviously with Kenshin not having DRS, Alipolator might get a run on him. So coming through Maggots and Beckett's, just trying to remain close. We'd saved up a small amount of ERS, but yeah, Game Freaker ahead behind, he could have more ERS than us, so I was trying to use a little bit to remain ahead of him, but also trying to save a little bit as Alipolator goes around the outside of Kenshin and makes a nice move, to be fair, as Kenshin tries to stay alongside but backs out and into the final couple corners. Alipolator goes into 6th. So at this point I was trying to save a little bit of ERS for the last 2 laps. Maybe we could get a couple moves there. We'd managed to get 30%, which is okay. I was trying to get towards 50% as I knew Kenshin was very low and he wasn't saving. There's a small, I think, a bit of rear locking there. But yeah, just again trying to get a decent exit out of important fraction zones and save ERS. Trying not to use the overtake, as another 2 guys ahead. Again, Kenshin going up the inside. Clearly I think he wanted track position over just sitting behind. Perhaps he felt that was a better option, as we get a small tap from Robin behind, which is not great, but didn't lose us too much time. So yeah, we were able to stick with the 2 in front, as Kenshin and Alipolator continued to fight going into Maggots and Beckett's. The 2 behind also battling, so that's causing them to lose a little bit of time. Through Maggots and Beckett's, not too bad. We managed to gain a little bit of time on Alipolator, and using a little bit of overtake and then just turning it off because we knew we weren't close enough to make a move. And to be honest, I think this was 1 lap too early even to make a move. So Alipolator goes around the outside, runs slightly wide and gets somewhat of a switchback, chooses to go to the outside. Kenshin shoves him onto the grass and Kenshin's off and Alipolator's off. So I thought that was, both of them were being quite aggressive with one another, and we go around the outside of Alipolator, a small tap, and I believe his car either hit that lagged out car or went round off of our car and into the pit wall, which was unfortunate, but felt like there was nothing much we could do. We were just going around the outside. I think his car might have understeered into ours, so yeah, unfortunate to see him DNF. But again, I spoke to him after the race and I told him I don't think there was much more I could have done in that situation. But unfortunately that does mean we've lost the position to Game Freaker. But I could see his red light flashing and it was the penultimate lap and I had over 40% battery, so I did feel like we had the upper hand, even though the sauce were wearing, so wasn't panicking too much. Robin had a penalty behind, so I felt like this is still a good opportunity. We can get top 5, we can still get 5th. So yeah, 50% battery now, and Game Freaker's under 10%. So we're in a decent place, to be honest. At this point, I was a little bit worried about potentially getting a penalty for the Alipolator incident, but looking back at it, I don't think there was much more that we could have done.
Or was it?
So yeah, again, red light flashing. I thought it's probably better to lead in the last lap if we had more ERS. We could probably defend from him. So yeah, we get into 5th place going on to the last lap, and as you can see, G1 has 6 seconds worth of penalties, and we're within that. We're 4.6 behind, so potentially P4 on the cards here, which would be a really good result after the last few rounds of PSGL have been quite rough. We've not had the greatest results. A few rounds we've had pace, just the results haven't come. So yeah, Silverstone was, I was hoping for a good race, and so far it has been a decent recovery after small mishap in quali with the dries. So yeah, the last lap was pretty much just about using our ERS to remain ahead of Game Freaker, which I think we had more than enough to do, and trying to stay within that 6 seconds of G1, which again I thought we could quite comfortably do, to be honest. It would have been a bit of a shambles to lose over a second on the last lap, despite him having DRS from Slash in front. So yeah, again, coming into the old pit straight, into the old turn 1, we were 4 tenths ahead, and I was using a little bit of overtake just because I don't think Game Freaker would have had that much, and even if he was using it, he wouldn't have had enough on the second straight then. So yeah, coming to Magnussen, it's still over 20%, and although it's not a lot, I felt like it would have been more than Game Freaker behind, and even with DRS I think we should have enough just to keep him at bay. So yeah, he is closing slightly towards the end of the straight, the overspeed, but he was not close enough, and yeah, although I wasn't the greatest of the right-hander there, it was enough just to stay ahead into the last couple of corners. I wasn't expecting a dive, so yeah, we come through the last corner, and it looks like we're going to get P4, which was a really good result, and a result I was quite happy with, coming from P14. So 10 places gained, and a solid race all round, to be fair. Yeah, can't be too displeased with that result. So yeah, I will take that result, and we'll hopefully go into the next round, Austria, with some positives, and hopefully we can have another decent outing. So thank you very much for watching, everyone. It was my first time ever doing a voiceover, so please leave feedback in the comments, and thank you for watching.